Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." The original OP is Glittering Disc 5929, posted to r/am_I_the_asshole October 14th, 2025. Am I the asshole for refusing to help my brother after his ex-girlfriend scammed him out of nearly half the equity of his house? Throwaway account. I, 37 female, have an older brother, George, who isn't an idiot, but he can be lazy. Definitely the type to rely on weaponized incompetence whenever women and girls are around. Example, he literally acted like he doesn't know where our mom kept the paper plates in the house he lived in for nearly 20 years just so she'd get up, go into the kitchen, and make him his plate during the holidays, just 1 week post her bunion surgery. Side note, they both tried to passive-aggressively make me feel guilty for not offering to fix my adult brothers, so our mom wouldn't have to do it. Like I wasn't the only one doing most of the cooking and would be doing most of the cleaning afterwards. At age 30, George was given a windfall from our grandfather's estate. I got something too, and used it as a down payment for a nice 5-bedroom house. And that's easily worth double now. During this time, he met Melinda, 50 female, and she was a nice lady. Smart, responsible, hardworking, sweet, and very organized. She came into the relationship with a steady job and was upfront about the lack of ability to have more children after complications from nearly losing her life giving birth to her daughter. George stated that he was okay with that, but whenever Melinda would bring up his hesitation regarding marriage, he'd say that he had complicated feelings about not being able to be a father if he chose to fully commit to her that he needed to process, saying that since he was willing to look over her fertility issues because he loved her, that she needed to show her love by waiting for him. That line worked for 12 years. After Melinda moved in, George demanded that she pay half the bills and part of his mortgage in exchange for allowing Melinda's daughter to move in with her. At the time, Melinda had little options as her former landlord was raising the rent too high, and she was helping pay her sister's medical bills. Melinda and George justified to everyone by saying what she would have had to pay to George was still cheaper in rent at her old place. I said nothing because not my relationship. 2 years ago, George was caught cheating and Melinda was furious, then left. I don't know all the details, but she came back seeming to work things out. Didn't stop George from cheating, but Melinda shrugged and said that this was still a better deal, and so long as he kept it from the house, she'd cope. Recently, there was some type of damage to George's house and he needed people to come in and fix it. But he hated the labor of searching for a reliable contractor, taking time away from his jobs/hobbies to deal with them and the paperwork. Melinda offered to do it, and he didn't question it. Whatever she gave, he signed, and in front of third-party witnesses, Melinda got George to sign paperwork stating that she was entitled to 45% of his house. Now she's duped him and is demanding that George either sell his house or buy her out. George is trying to fight this, citing that he didn't fully understand what he was agreeing to, and he's found a lawyer willing to take his case, but his fees are expensive. George and our mom think that I should help, but I'm refusing. I don't see why I have to shell out thousands to save another grown man from his own lacking foresight, especially when there's a good chance he won't even win. I'm being called heartless and a bad sister, so I have to ask, am I the asshole? This variation of Am I the Asshole has no consensus bot, but OP received the majority of Not the Assholes, and a few You're the Assholes. Relevant/top comments. Downvoted commenter. You can't give a part of the house without a notary contract. Whatever he signed, he's an idiot for not reading. He should have left this woman a long time ago. OP responds, I believe the third party who witnessed my brother sign the documents was a licensed notary. Commenter 1. Not the asshole, but who is expecting to have more kids with a 50-year-old? For me, it sounds more like he was looking for an excuse to play victim since the beginning of this relationship. By the way, I'm not the youngest woman, and I think this question is important. OP responds, she was in her 40s when they got together, but I agree, he was just using that as an excuse. Commenter 2. I think it's funny how you say he's not an idiot, and then you go on to explain exactly why he's an idiot. Hope he responds. I truly don't believe that my brother is an idiot. He's just lazy. Like, if he actually put in the time and work to actually fact check, Melinda wouldn't have been able to do what she did. Commenter 3. Not the asshole. George had it coming. Stringing that woman along for years, manipulating her by making her feel guilty over not being able to have more children, having her pay half the mortgage for his house, and then cheating on her? He made the bed, let him lie in it. Commenter 4. Not the asshole. Your brother is a cheater and a fool. Was Melinda a bit underhanded? Arguably, yes. Does she deserve a share of the house in return for all she paid into it? Not to mention 12 years of domestic and emotional labor? Arguably also yes. But when it comes to whether you should shell out for your brother's legal fees, the answer is an unequivocal no. He was a huge asshole and ridiculously careless with his most significant asset. And that is not your responsibility to fix. He is an adult. He needs to fix his own mistake. Commenter 5. Not the asshole. George made bad choices and is responsible for the mess that followed. Further, he is not that intelligent if he is signing something without reading it. Melinda may have acted underhanded, but I'm not mad at her about it because George used her. He strung her along and let her pay rent and mortgage. She's entitled to the share, as she sacrificed years for him. She could have found someone better. She now can. But still, the years she wasted on him will never come back. Anyway, George reaped what he had sowed. It's deserved, and I wouldn't want to pay for his mistake either. Update. October 26th, 2025, nearly 2 weeks later. Quick recap. Brother and mother are trying to guilt me into giving my brother money to pay for an attorney in order to prevent brother's former long-term live-in girlfriend from getting a payout after he claims she tricked him into signing documents making her a partial owner. Okay, there's been an update, and I have to say, while I still don't think my brother is an idiot overall, he is a lazy and very arrogant dumbass. I also want to clarify a few things as well. Melinda and my brother were in a relationship for 12 years, but they only started living together for about 9 to 10 years. Also, the documents were signed in the presence of a notary who asked my brother if he understood the context of the documents, and he affirmed that he did. And to the person who said that my brother was house poor, you hit the nail on the hammer. My brother spent the majority of his inheritance and savings on buying that house, and it barely had any furniture in it. When Melinda moved in, she paid to have it furnished on top of splitting the utilities and paying rent. Now, on to the new stuff. When my brother's house needed fixing, he let Melinda do the grunt work of finding reputable establishments to consider because he didn't want to be bothered. Melinda presented him with up to 3 options and convinced him to go with Company A, not a real name, because they were offering seasonal discounts for first-time customers and/or new owners for specific items. Melinda's plan to get both discounts was to present it as if she recently became the partial owner and had my brother email Company A to see if they'd be willing to accept that. Company A responded that if Melinda recently became part owner of the house, then they'd be willing to give a partial discount as a courtesy. Company A was a small business but with an excellent reputation in terms of service, quality of work, and meeting deadlines, so my brother was all in. What my brother didn't realize was that Company A went by the honor system when it came to Melinda and my brother's case, but on their website, it did say proper document needed to be shown, so Melinda told my brother that she'd come up with fake documents that he could sign in the presence of a notary that she knew through a friend who was supposed to be in on the scam. They weren't, but that's what she told my brother. The actual signing was at their home in front of the notary and 2 people from Company A who were initially there to survey the area. So basically, my brother thought that he and Melinda were scamming Company A, when in reality, Melinda was scamming him. He thought the documents he was signing were fake, but they were real, and that's his defense. This is why he had trouble finding a lawyer. Wouldn't blame anyone here who thought that this was fake because what the fuck. So anyway, I'm not going to give him the money, but I will give him a list of realtors. 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 Realers. Ratatouille. I want to go to bed. I'm still recording. Fuck. So anyway, I'm not going to give him the money, but I will give him a list of realtors. Relevant/top comments. Commenter 1. Are you taking your brother's word for how the legal paper situation came about, or have you talked to his ex? I'll bet their explanations are not even similar. Opie responds, Melinda isn't talking to anyone who's associated with my brother right now. She told us that if we insisted on talking to her, to email her. And if we want to meet her in person, it will be in a neutral setting and that she will record anything we have to say. Commenter 2. How is your mother taking his side? Opie responds, she's a pick-me boy mom. Commenter 3. So his defense is, I thought we were scamming a company, but really she was scamming me, Your Honor. Yeah, I think it's best to stay out of this one. Commenter 4. You're right, your brother is an idiot. You should always take things seriously when they involve your home. Commenter 5. It sounds like she did actually contribute financially to the house. After 10 years, most people are considered to be in a settled relationship, and it's not like she got part ownership, then the next day demanded half the sale price. Being a moron isn't considered an offense, and the whole situation is a clusterfuck of he said, she said. I think you are being very sensible to stay out of it and not contribute towards your brother's legal fees. He's going to lose anyway, and should take the hit. There is no loophole for him to find and nullify her share of the house, and to be honest, she is probably entitled as she's been living with him for so long. He's an unreliable narrator, and after you remove all the extra crap he's saying, he basically wants her out on the street after 10 years without a penny to her name. Now, just as some Oz wisdom here that I've learned the hard way, if anything involves a notary and isn't you buying a house, you should probably have your own lawyer present or have a lawyer look over the documents that you would be signing. Also, gotta love the position of, well, you see, we were going to commit fraud against this company to get a discount on repairs, and that's why what's going on isn't fair. Like, that's your defense? It's not gonna get you very far, buddy. This post was collected by Similar Shame 7517, and their tagline is, try and fire me for having too much dick. And yet another tagline to add to the growing list of ones I have to hunt down. The original OP is Just End Throwaway, posted to r/raised by narcissists, May 20th, 2021. Family planned a vacation and forgot to invite me. My brain is spinning in the way that only narcissists can make it spin. For some context, I had just been patting myself on the back for surviving another combined Mother's Day / my birthday, 37, get together with my parents, where for the third year in a row, the only mention of my birthday was after we cut a cake. My mother says, oh, we forgot to sing. No card. No one even says the words happy birthday. Every Memorial Day, my parents, my sister's family, and my family go on vacation together. Last year, we didn't, for obvious reasons, and this year seemed to be heading in the same direction. It was never even brought up. Until yesterday. I get a text from my sister saying they had been planning it for 6 to 8 months, just in case it was safe, and forgot to mention it to me. The trip was a 5-day vacation. 8 days from now. Can you make it? Obviously I said no, and that was it. I left it alone. Then my mother texted me and said, I wanted you to see this. It's a gut feeling and I don't want you to feel like it was planned. The text was followed by many screen grabs of her and my sister laughing that they forgot to invite me. I think it was supposed to make me feel better. At no point has anyone said, I'm so sorry we forgot to invite you. My family are firm believers that if you don't do something on purpose, there's no need to be sorry. I responded to my mother and said, well, I'm glad everyone got a good laugh out of it. To which she responded, I'll let that one roll. I should have known better. That response was enough to send me over the edge and group text them to say, I can't believe no one thought this would hurt my feelings. I fought myself so hard on responding, and I should have trusted my gut because it's always an explosion when you say my feelings are hurt in my family. And since then, I've been drowning in a list of reasons that no one needs to be sorry. How it was just an accident. For every time they say no one did this on purpose, I respond again. I don't care how it happened. I know it wasn't on purpose. I care that no one thought this would hurt my feelings or even tried to understand how it would be hurtful. When I called out my sister and told her that listing reasons I shouldn't feel bad and then apologizing is not helpful, she responded by saying, fine, I'll rearrange it. She then said, I'm sorry you found this hurtful, and then copy and pasted the reasons again I shouldn't be hurt. I keep asking how in 6 months of planning, no one wondered out loud if I could make it. How my presence didn't come up in one conversation. This was the last response I received from my mother before blocking both of them. You honestly believe that this trip was planned and you weren't invited? That's what you think of me? Dad? That we would intentionally hide it from you? Or that sister had an agenda and I went along with it? Shame on you for thinking like that. There's no remorse needed. It was a genuine mix-up. No one is out to get you. Jesus Christ. How old were you this year? Haven't we always been there for you every time you needed us? And yet, we would go behind your back and do this. You better take a little time and think about what I'm saying. You're done. And so am I. No matter how many times I say, no one is out to get me, I know it wasn't on purpose, they won't hear me. I'm slamming my head against a brick wall and I have no idea what to do. I honestly want to cut contact with both of them, but I literally moved across the country to be close to them and my niece again. And losing contact with my niece is what really hurts. So real quick, this is 100% on purpose, and this is 100% them projecting as a defense mechanism, and they're just gaslighting the hell out of OP. There is not a single way in hell that through 6 to 8 months you can plan an entire vacation for the family and not once to think to include someone that's literally your daughter, and then for it to somehow just be an accident they weren't included. Yeah, bullshit on that one. It was purposeful, and they're so hurt by it because they know it was purposeful, and they're being called out for it. So they're pulling the whole Darvo shit right now where they're flipping the script and they're making OP feel bad for even questioning the idea that they would somehow, for some reason, do this on purpose. And OP, growing up in this environment, right now at least, believes that. Edit. I forgot to include the part where a week ago my mom asked me if I wouldn't mind being an emergency contact for her dogs whenever they board their dogs. I got confused because I live an hour away and my sister lives 1 mile away. And I said, wouldn't it be easier to use sister? My mom got awkward and said she just wanted an extra backup. Yeah, there it is. This was also addressed in the screen grabs. That was the moment my mom figured out I wasn't invited and didn't know it. It turns out when she asked me, she was specifically talking about this up north trip, thinking I wasn't going intentionally, and still didn't say anything to me or my sister, like snotty teenagers that didn't want me at a party. And as an additional edit, OP did post screenshots of the text messages, but it looks like Imager has actually since purged those screenshots. So, damn. As an editor's note, the Imager link was no longer available when this post was compiled, and the screen grab was unrecoverable. Update 1, August 26th, 2021, more than 3 months later. After Fallout, Mom is demanding I pay for student loans. Some of you might remember the fallout. My family planned a vacation and forgot to invite me, which resulted in my mother shaming me for having hurt feelings. I've repaired things with my dad and sister, but my mom is a raging narcissist, so I have to decide what I'm willing to take. I wasn't ready to go no contact, so I was trying to manifest a low contact relationship. I was still able to chat with my sister and dad and had one phone conversation with my mom and dad about a month ago that was neutral and easy. In her first attempt at contact since our fight, my mother has emailed me, giving me a list of options for me to take over student loan payments. 20 years later. When I was a senior in high school, my parents told me they would pay for my education. About 2 years in, they wouldn't/couldn't take out any more loans, and I took over getting my own financial aid. I covered 70% of my education. She has been deferring and accruing interest on the loans for 20 years, and maybe refinanced them. She has mentioned they're still accruing interest, which leads me to believe they do not fall under the umbrella of the student loan pause. The loans she wants me to take over are in her name completely. These are her exact words. This is what we thought would be fair. Pay part of it off and we'll call it even. Take over payments of $308 now and increases. Pay the interest or you can choose to do nothing. No loan terms, no end date, no exact amount. My inner child is screaming for me to pay them off so I can still be close with my mommy. My adult self is telling me she can't unring the bell, and even if I pay her, our relationship will never be the same. My therapy self is telling me that my mother is punishing me for standing up for myself and is quantifying how bad I want a relationship with her in actual dollars. Help. Update 2. Student loan update. Posted August 27th, 1 day later, more than 3 months after the original post. I responded. I was starting to feel sick over anticipating responding, so I just pulled the band-aid off, starting to feel better already. Update. I responded. Hi. Yes, I remember you bringing them up several times because I knew they were not all mine. But I had no way to defend myself as I don't have access to loans that aren't mine. As you told me, you would pay for my education. I thought you were venting. I didn't realize you were hinting at the fact that you changed your mind. I'm currently paying off much more than what you've listed here, so I think it's fair and even to keep things as they are. I've had no control or oversight over this debt for the last 20 years, so I don't think me stepping in now is wise. But I won't do nothing. I will continue to pay off the loan's share of my student loans, as I have been. It's hard to tell from the screen grabs of sister's loans and tweets, but it looks like I'm covering at about 70% already. Signed, OP. Update 3. Is my sister being used against me? Posted on December 27th, 2021, more than 3 months later, more than 7 months after this original post. If you want to read my story, go ahead. Very briefly, I had a falling out with my family a year and a half ago, and I try to maintain low contact. Which, of course, means I'm still jumping through hoops, but I'm able to keep my sanity. Because of this, my mother tries to frequently get me to play the game. And the less I engage, the more my mother raises the stakes. And because she's much better at the game, I have trouble seeing things clearly sometimes. My mother called me on Monday to let me know my sister with cerebral palsy is in the hospital. She assured me that everything was fine. My sister just needed some help because she has the flu and everything is more complicated by cerebral palsy. My father called me on Tuesday morning from the hospital so I could talk to my sister. She communicates through squeals and a very expressive face. Again, my dad assured me that everything was fine and that they were hoping to take her home that day. Tuesday night, my mother calls to give me another update and tell me that she did not in fact come home from the hospital, but is still improving. They just want to keep her one more day. And then she finishes the call with, "Can you come sit with her for a while?" My mother and father both have the flu as well, and I live 90 miles away. They had to wait 24 hours just to get her in a room because the hospital is so overfilled with flu and COVID patients. My sane brain is telling me not to go to the place with all the sick people, but my fogged up brain is saying, how dare you not go visit your sister when she's in the hospital? For some backstory, my husband and I decided to travel for Christmas this year instead of a painful family holiday, which I told my mother twice and she's forgotten. Twice. And still tries to tell me about times and plans for Christmas. My gut is telling me this is a reaction to that, but I'm still working on fixing my intuition after a lifetime of manipulation. Am I right in thinking I shouldn't go down there, or am I being selfish? Editor's note. Mark concluded as OP has not posted about problems with their family since making the post. This almost reads as one of those in-game audio logs where, some poor scientist is about to release the plague on the world and is just like, I think one more testing session might be fine. And that's the final audio log you find. I think, if I'm gonna tinfoil hat theory the final update there, the mother wanted to try to guilt trip OP into coming down in hopes of getting them sick, to ruin their plans for Christmas, so they would be forced to participate in family plans and then have to cancel any trips or additional plans they may have made without the family. Which is kind of fucking ironic considering how this whole fiasco and saga started. It's okay when we make plans without you, but not when you make plans without us. Also, OP 100% had the mark right on the money when they pretty much pinpointed that the mother, by doing the whole student loan bullshit, was putting a monetary value on her love and seeing what OP was willing to pay to maintain the relationship. That's them still believing they have full control over the situation, and that's them punishing them and trying to make them pay for their love. Just a big fucking yikes. I also firmly don't see a single world or a way that this could ever be true, that they just somehow, in 6 to 8 months of planning, entirely forgot to drag OP or loop OP into the vacation plans. I firmly believe that that's just bullshit, and they did get busted on the fact that they were planning a vacation without OP. And them sending the text message back and forth of them laughing about it? Yeah. That just comes across as some quickly fabricated cover story by the mother in order to try to, oh, see? Look, here's evidence that we didn't mean to not include you in the planning process. We're laughing about it. You're laughing at the fact that you guys forgot I existed in terms of planning a family vacation? Well, that really hurts my feelings. How dare you say this hurts your feelings? Yeah, this is just a fucked up situation. And honestly, I really am just crossing my fingers and hoping that OP is just in a better general position in life, because these kind of toxic family dynamics can just drive you up the wall and crazy. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." Original OP is throw random ghosting advice, posted to r/relationship advice, April 11th, 2020. My 38 female ex-fiancee ghosted me, 39 male, before our wedding. It's been 16 years and now she wants to talk it over again. Should we reopen closed wounds? I was never given an explanation. She just left and told nobody. It was literally right before our big wedding ceremony. She didn't leave a note. Nothing. Just left. Even her family were left baffled. She just up and left. We had dated all through high school and all through college. She eventually returned, but not to me. I had to learn via third party, her parents, she had no intentions of coming home. She wanted nothing to do with me and told her parents to avoid having me around. I never got a choice in the matter. I respected her wishes. I never understood why she did it. My only guess was she had a mental breakdown because she cut off all contact with everyone. We were both young and still growing. I don't know. But I've struggled with it since. And out of the blue, she DMs me on Facebook after all these years and wants to meet up. I'm an influx of emotions right now. Angry, nervous, hopeful, and I still have feelings for her. I don't know if I could take her back, but looking at her Facebook makes me miss her. She's even better looking than she was before. And single. I'm conflicted. She won't talk about anything as to why she left. She said it's best to do so in person. The only thing I can tell is from her Facebook is a bunch of stuff about her being weak and living a life full of shame and regret and being lonely. This is dumb. She ghosted me, and I should want nothing to do with her, but damn it, I still have feelings for her. I never stopped thinking about her. What should I do? Ghost her in return? Call her out? See where this date takes us? Too long didn't read. Ex-fiancee DM me on Facebook wanting to meet up for a date. I haven't spoken to her in 15 plus years. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. First off, Damn. OP, that's rough. 16 years is a long time. Would meeting up with her set you back in the time you've spent getting over this, or will it give you the closure you never found? OP responds, I don't know. I just want closure. For the longest time, I thought she had cheated on me. But the only things I've been told from her family and the few friends she didn't cut off, it's more like a mental breakdown. I know she was scared to death about the wedding and her looming finals and her career. She was beyond stressed. She ghosted everyone. She gradually came back, but I was never involved. I've never stopped thinking of her. Update, April 13th, 2020, 2 days later. Well, that was something. I got closure at least. We met at a cafe and sat and talked outside. The first thing I noticed was how badly scarred her arms were and how much pain was in her face. Long story short, she wanted to break up long before the wedding. She was too weak and cowardly to speak up for herself. She had a complete nervous breakdown over everything. She had been tired of being forced into doing things she never wanted to do and never had the guts to stand up for herself. She was mad at her family pressuring her to get married and pump out kids. She was mad at them for forcing her into a degree that she didn't want. She was mad at herself for not being able to speak up. Nothing she did was justified, which we agreed on. When I first proposed to her, I did it in a public area. I had put her on the spot and she wanted to say no, but she couldn't bear to see me hurt. She was right. I made all the choices for her. I was a very different person back then and she was very meek, as in she just went with the flow and had no backbone. I drowned her voice out often and often never gave her the chance to grow, to be a person. Back then, I was often focused only on myself. Well, everything came to a climax and she had a complete mental breakdown. She ran away from her problems at the behest of her best friend and only person in the world she ever trusted. As she said, it's the only thing she knows how to do. Run. She never had the spine to speak up. Her life just spiraled downwards. She did a few years homeless after her best friend's husband kicked her to the curb. The rest of that time was spent in prison, which she didn't specify what she did. She was released about a year ago and has begun turning her life around. She has a job, she's reconnected with her parents, and she's finally reconnecting with me. She never stopped trying to get in touch with me. As for our future, we have none. We both agreed to end things and go our separate ways. We both are changed. Two different people. We have nothing in common and don't live near each other. She doesn't justify what she did, nor does she want to be forgiven. She thinks it's repulsive and is ashamed of her actions. I wanted to be angry, but I couldn't. I just forgave her. With that, we shook hands, said our goodbyes, and that will likely be the last time we ever see one another. It's bittersweet. I got the closure I wanted. We both did. It feels like a burden was released. I know we never had a future together and never will, but on the other, I'm sad because it's over. All these years, maybe hoping something would happen, were for naught. But in the end, this is an ending and I finally have closure. Not many get to say that. Do I believe her story? Yes, I do. Even if she's full of shit at this point, does it even matter? I've always known her to be very weak-willed and meek. She often just does what everyone tells her to do and often runs when things get too difficult. She avoids her problems because was too weak to stand up to them. I mean, it makes sense why her family would not talk to me about her. They were the typical tiger parents that disown their problem child. Too long didn't read. All's well that ends well. Our relationship has finally come to an end, and we can move on. Final comments. One commenter putting a lot of blame on the friend. OP. Her friend was an enabler. We all were. Her friend was the one who encouraged her to run. Of course, nobody forced her to. It was all her. If I hadn't ignored her problems, if I had actually been a part of her life, I might have seen. It is what it is, though. OP when asked how they met during the pandemic and the public proposal. OP, it's semi-open. We ordered takeout. We sat in the parking lot. Not ideal, but so be it. And the public proposal? OP, quoting what appears to be another commenter, quote, The proposal shouldn't be the surprise. When it happens, should. You should know 100% before you do it. As in, discussed it is what both of you want at some point. Dropping it at random does put a huge amount of pressure on the other person if they're not quite there." End quote. OP responds to that with, "Truth is, she was right. I dropped the proposal on her on purpose in public to ensure she wouldn't say no. I was only thinking about myself. It never occurred to me she was unhappy. It never occurred to me she was very uncomfortable with a public proposal." OP, when told his ex was bullied by a lot of people, leading to the jilting. OP responds, "I abused her. There, I said it. I neglected her needs in favor of mine and forced her into a marriage. I'm no better than her mom and dad, really. It pisses me off. All these fucking years I never realized how fucking rotten I was." OP answers once again on meeting during the pandemic. OP, "Because people don't fucking read, not every goddamn place in America is closed. They remain open, but are limited to takeout only. My state, and by extension my town, are not under lockdown. We've not had any cases here. This isn't rocket science." So, this is something where the more that OP talks, the more that I'm given the impression that he's still trying to come to terms with some of the information and isn't telling the full story. I get the impression that there's some stuff missing here that isn't really being included for one reason or another. I'm also certainly raising an eyebrow as to what it could be that would cause her to receive anywhere from potentially 8 to 14 years in prison. That amount of time, especially as someone who is just a, as OP put it, young, meek college girl? There aren't many sentences that would land you that kind of time as a first-time offender, especially with who she is as a person. And I can only guess that the environment that she was involved with or had to be forced into was probably a contributing factor to causing that to spiral. It's a shame that all I can really hope for now is that she's doing as well as she can. I'm also happy that OP is realizing the part that he played, but it also sounds like he's still trying to come to terms with it. Granted, it comes across as though he's actually allowing it to and not just trying to bury it and pretend like nothing happened. But from what OP's been willing to share, it sounds like, and he would agree with this, his past behavior was unacceptable. And he is partially responsible, along with her parents, for putting her in the position where she felt trapped, like a caged animal. And she had one way out, and she took it. And that was to just disappear. Also, that conversation about proposals is 100% on point. The whole point of the proposal's surprise should be the timing of it, not the proposal itself. And additionally, especially if you're not sure on a proposal and it's not been discussed previously, a public proposal is pretty damn manipulative. And you kind of shoebox your partner into one response. Because if they choose to run away or say no, well, congrats, they're gonna end up on YouTube or some fucked up compilation of someone saying no during a public proposal, and scroll down to the comments and see what's said about them. It's not good stuff, it's pretty disgusting. Or they can say yes and make everyone around them happy except for themselves. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Bear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.